Mike, I wanted to ask you because I saw this weekend and it made me laugh. The University of Miami staff shows up to a Lakeland high school and Cormani McClain ghosts them and ends up taking photos with Deion Sanders in Colorado.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. He didn't sign with them just yet. Well, he doesn't really know how signing day works. He's like, I'm going to sign on January 15th. No, that's not how it works. You got to sign in February. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the guy.
Well, this is
you're not a huge fan of a teenager?
I do have to be careful. There's just that I appreciate how certain people go about things, and I haven't been the biggest fan of how he's gone about things.
You're not a biggest fan of how a 17-year-old or 18-year-old goes about things?
But here's the weird thing.
Not all 17-year-olds act like that.
The weird thing is, all right, he embarrasses the U on signing day, but then 2 or 3 days later, amid all this controversy, have they lost this guy? He's at a showcase game, throwing up the U and dressed in Kane's garb.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming to Miami. He's still doing.
It seemed like it then.
No, yeah, he's just doing that.
I mean, you have a vantage point on this that's pretty interesting because I saw demonized all of these kids of this age taking the sneaker money, and now you see it sort of leaking into football, and you get these situations. And I can't be paid enough to be a person who shows up at a high school in Lakeland and has to exist as a grown-up adult with responsibilities
and a mortgage,
to a job on a 17-year-old kid's whims who thinks it's funny to go take photos with Deion Sanders doing snow angels in Colorado because you can.
Not even just that, like, it's part of your job responsibilities to show up, but that largely your job proficiency depends on getting this person to commit to play for you,
on begging a child,
and other players like him, like it's the main function of the job. That's the part that seems humiliating.
You know what it's like? It's like trying to put a baby to sleep. You're trying to bargain with it, like, but what are you gonna do, man? Like, that's the job. You can't be like. Here's my thing. Sure, the coaches can feel kind of, oh man, I thought we had it in the bag or whatever. But like when people like Mike start talking about, man, I don't. He's a kid, man. What do you want from him? What do you want from him?
They're all.
You should stand by your word. Why?
No. They're all kids, and they all approach things different ways. And I'm just telling you what I know. I'm not the biggest fan of how he's gone about this. They're all kids, but on a sliding scale of a professional approach to how you go about these things and how you just communicate and how you go about your business. This one in particular has not been a good experience.
Well, because you're on the short. What if it was the other way around?
We were on the other way around, and even back then, it's just
where you were like, I don't know about this guy. If we're able, Mike's using the theory like if you date a cheater, like if you cheat on help them cheat on their current one, then they're gonna cheat on you or whatever. Which
you lost them how you got them kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nah, but it just like in the last few weeks,
exactly the last few weeks when you got screwed over.
We've celebrated Mario flipping people multiple times.
That's the big game hunting, and that's you're gonna win some of those that
Right.
you're not gonna feel great about. And you're gonna lose some of those that you it comes off like you're a little bit more just personally. I've been out for a while. I don't like talking about this particular experience because of the approach from the family.
You should rescind his offer right now.
Yeah.
As a representative of the University
like
of Miami,
like that.
rescind his offer.
Listen,
publicly.
Miami being desperate enough to scrounge and beg for Cormani and go to Lakeland is the least surprising thing in America because you're talking about a head coach, a ballyhooed head coach coming off a 5-7 season who knows that what he does is recruit. He's not a great in-game coach. What Mario Cristobal does is recruit. He's supposed to win the portal. He's supposed to win recruiting. And when he loses a 5-star guy like this, he's embarrassed and should be.
I got to be honest with you.
You have to beg to get him.
This guy does not sound like a Cristobal guy to me. All the things we hear about the Cristobal guys, this does not sound like a Cristobal guy to me.
I tend to agree. I thought my whole thing with Cormani McClain is I thought we were trying to target a specific type of talent, not just a super talented, but a certain mindset. And to me, I've been a little confused at the persistent pursuit of someone that has displayed several times over that that's not really what we were talking about. So
I am-
I've been left a little confused by it.
I am with Amin, though, on this. If this had happened to anyone other than your beloved University of Miami, where you have become a booster, an insider, somebody who advocates for the program and invests a great deal in every respect in this program, you wouldn't be out here telling a 17-year-old kid how to take care of their business when he's doing snow angels in Colorado next to Deion because he ghosted an entire coaching staff in Lakeland.
False. I've mentioned that about Jaden Rashada the entire time. When he came over and when he flipped back to Florida, and now when he has asked out of his commitment, I've told you on the local hours, one asked directly, I don't want to volunteer this stuff. It's a weird situation for me, but it's just there are certain people that are going about this new age of NIL and what people perceive to be pay to play in very different ways. I will say, I did find out that Rashada gave back the NIL stuff that he got from Miami because he's a California kid. So you can pay high school athletes in California. So I was a little encouraged by that, but even his entire pursuit, it left me confused because as someone that's trying to buy into the company line of the problem was the kids in the locker room, and I sound like a bit of an asshole when I'm saying the $80 million coach is the person that we should trust here, and the problem's the mentality of the kids. If we're going to target some of these kids that display the same kind of mentality, I do think that I'm exposed hypocritically. Jaden Rashada and Cormani McClain, to me, while supremely talented, didn't necessarily fit the mold I kept hearing about. And so, me personally, I've been out, but I don't matter here.
Sounds like instead of being disappointed in the behavior of the kids, maybe you need to be disappointed in the behavior of a coach who says, I want this kind of kid, but goes after a different kind.
Let me try to... I'm not necessarily super disappointed in the behavior of the kids. It's not always the kids. The kids could do a better job of it, but some kids are getting really bad advice.
Yeah,
and
from parents as well.
And some coaches could do a better job of walking the walk that they talk.
I would just ask the audience right here, because I have thought about this as the rules change, and you're Dabo Swinney. And all of these guys are so used to having all of the power. All of it. The kids have no leverage whatsoever. I would really hate to be an adult in this position, being paid this much money, and my success depends on whether Cormani shows up when I go to visit him in Lakeland, or again, ghosts me and my staff. I would feel like such a fool chasing children around the country, needing to mine them in order to make my success.
I would have been out, but this is the talent. He is, Cormani McClain, the highest rated recruit potentially that the University of Miami would have signed since DJ Williams. He's the best cornerback recruit in terms of these rankings that they give. And again, we're talking about 17-year-old and 18-year-olds there. He's the greatest ever. If he were a 4-star, they would have bailed a long time ago. Right. I think he's that supremely talented. There's a lot that goes with him.
If you're a college coach, you put up with a lot of bullshit in exchange for talent. You know, the coach who says, we want kids who fit our culture. Those are the coaches who can't get the 5-star recruits consistently. What you do is you get that talent, and then you allow that talent to try to fit your culture. And if it doesn't, you've still got that talent. You've still got that cornerback shutting everybody down, even if he's a little bit of a problem off the field. Culture. You want talent first, culture second.
Well, it was a lot easier in previous eras when you were sort of going by duffel bags of cash and expensive cars. Now, I mean, in some ways, I think this might actually be easier because there's just dollar amounts. Have you read the details on the Jaden Rashada thing? It's wild that basically the University of Florida.
I don't know what's true because I hear reports up to $13 million.
I'm reading an article in the Orlando Sentinel that basically the University of Florida's NIL collective agreed a deal for $13 million and didn't have the money for it, and so they're letting him out of his letter of intent. But that in some ways is a bit more honest than I would imagine recruiting was in the past. Because just here's a dollar amount. If you get to the dollar amount, you get the player. Like that seems to be more obvious.
It should be noted that Rashada's dad has come out and refuted like anything that's about NIL. From what I've heard, the $13 million is inflated in that it was basically a 2-year option, and the rest would get there. And there was a certain amount that was a little light for commitment. and then he was kind of waiting around after fully committing, and there was an attempt to renegotiate, and that went south. It's been a very interesting pursuit of Jaden Rashada.
It is why, Mike, I mentioned to you that I thought Deion Sanders is worth, even with very little resume, what they're paying him as a first-year coach, and in fact would argue that he's underpaid, because as all of this shifts and the Miami coaching staff shows up in Lakeland trying to apply a culture, Deion Sanders' culture is more like Cormani McClain.
Yes.
Deion Sanders' life has been spent being Cormani McClain, and he's now got, I believe, the top 2 corners from the top 10 in the history of these rankings.
Yeah, if Cormani goes.
His secondary, Deion Sanders' secondary, to start winning at this game in a nowhere program is to get 2 of the top 10 corners in his image and in the history of them doing the rankings at that position.
I wouldn't necessarily, in his image, Cormani's not like, just because Cormani's name is splashed across headlines, it doesn't necessarily mean he handles himself around the same way that Deion Sanders did. I don't necessarily think that Cormani is going to Colorado, by the way. I don't. If I had to make a crystal ball prediction, I'd say Bama. Bama always, even
Crystal
though
ball prediction?
that's what they call them. Yeah, it's funny. But
I don't think you thought that was funny. No.
This is I am very interested to see how everything plays out for Deion Sanders in Colorado. And if I had to place a wager on it, I'd say probably not well. It works out okay in Jackson State when you have the talent discrepancy, but who you target and how you go about things, and it matters more.
You don't think in the Pac-12 you can get away with some of that stuff?
I don't think because Oregon's in the Pac-12 and he's not going to have a talent advantage over there. Washington, he's not going to have a talent advantage.
I mean, if Colorado finishes 2nd or 3rd in the Pac-12 North, like that's such, I don't think they have divisions anymore. But that's such a step forward from where they've been as a they're going to make a massive step forward as a program.
We'll see. We'll see.
They went 3-9 last year.
I'll tell you what. At least Deion walks his walk, because he told us he's bringing his luggage with him.
Yeah,
I feel like
luggage.
I feel like if I was Miami, and I was trying to recruit someone who's looking to flip to Colorado, like a Florida person, part of my recruiting would be to pay for them to spend an entire week in Colorado. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because Deion's like, oh, let's go do snow angels now. Like, get back inside now before the snow starts to suck again.
That's like my kids.
Yeah,
my kids are like,
you would recruit, if you were Cristobal, you would recruit by sending him to Colorado.
Go to Colorado for 2 weeks on us and tell us how much you love it.
It was funny because he did mention that he was bringing all his luggage with him, and it was Louis. But if you've seen where those Jackson State transfers are going, it's not all Colorado. Yeah, you got Travis Hunter, and it makes you forget about guys like Coleman who end up going to Louisville, who has a very organized NIL program. Let's just say I was all in. Yeah, Coach Prime, it's very exciting. And then watching things play out and realizing that there were issues at Jackson State that we didn't really know about because we were only talking about Coach Prime and how exciting it is. Like I think it's okay to view the Deion Sanders thing with a bit of skepticism. This is the first time we've seen something like this.
I guess what I'm saying to you is, in comparison to what's happening in Miami, at least he is consistent in his approach as far as what I want, and he's going after what he wants, not compromising what he wants
He's also not getting in the room with a lot of recruits. The Cormani McClain instance, this is the example that Deion Sanders totally shines in. You have this situation where there could be an absence of a father figure, and Deion Sanders can be such a mentor for a young cornerback. This is a lane that he just occupies so well in terms of being a leader of men. You could see why a kid like Cormani McClain, with his situation, would be dazzled by Deion Sanders and would not want to wait for Miami's coaching staff and may not want to text him back, because doing snow angels with the Deion Sanders seems like a pretty cool thing if I'm Cormani McClain.
He's Tinder dating, though, and he's ghosting. Like, he got a better offer. He's scheduled.
He did not get a better offer.
He scheduled a date.
He did not get a better offer from Colorado. He did not.
The offer that was better is that there was something sexier in Colorado than what was going to meet him at high school land in Lakeland.